Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Chelsea 4. This is a game that we could actually spend hours and hours talking about. You could almost minute by minute go through this game, dissect it, and as a Chelsea fan, I posted 6 things we learned straight after the game, which is my immediate reactionary series. But today, I want to go through the player ratings. I want to talk a little bit about why, now that the dust is kind of settling, I'm not going to say it's settled, because when Chelsea beat Spurs, give me a good week of absolutely living on cloud flipping 9 before I start to even consider anything other than we are the best team in the world, London is blue, all of these little trigger words, buzzwords that we absolutely love to milk when Chelsea are winning football matches against our big rivals. I want to go into this in a lot more detail today. Before I do that, though, I do want to say, if you saw 4 p.m. yesterday, I released the first video, or I guess you could say documentary style video, for an all-for-nothing series on Football Manager 24. I'm managing Chelsea. The video went out and it was only live for like 4 hours before Chelsea Spurs. It was literally the talking point on everybody's lips. So, cue the trailer.
We're going to go to your commentators now at Anfield for Liverpool versus Arsenal.
The Football Manager is significantly more than life itself.
Game day, Ricky!
He talks about football. I play football. Well, let's see who comes out on top.
For Arsenal, we have David Raya, Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel with Saka shit on the wing.
Harry could be a little bit of a dark horse because I don't really know too much about him.
This is Football Manager. He's in my world now.
Nunes, Szoboszlai, 1-1!
VAR, check that.
Well, I honestly think I've just got a team here that could happily go ahead and finish in the top 9.
I'm a people person.
Talent identification.
It's semen retention phase.
Oh, I thought he was going to put it in!
Saw an FM scout, obviously.
How have they all been ran past by Tim Ream? No!
You know, I'm a born winner.
I want to smoke these boys.
Was it Will Still? I think that could be me eventually.
That was the trailer. Link to the video in the description and a card somewhere here on the screen. Wow. What an incredible game of football this was. From VAR to going 1-0 down, seeing Chelsea somehow turn around the deficit, which is something that we've not been able to do. You've got Ange Postecoglou, a man who, rightly so, has been given so much praise since he arrived in the Premier League. Spurs had won 8 matches. They'd drawn 2 and were unbeaten. Postecoglou hadn't lost a game at home for 56 or 57 matches. Yes, that is partly for Celtic, and well, they might as well not show up some weeks because there isn't really much competition in Scotland. No offence, but it's the truth. It's been like it my whole bloody life. So even though that was there, when you've got a record like that, everything is kind of playing to it. When you think about the energy that we've seen at Spurs, what we've spoken about in the build-up to this game, Tottenham were so confident going into this one, and you could see that before they lost their heads, before they bottled it, in some ways, as we always say with Spurs, they were absolutely in control. They were dominating Chelsea. The way that they were passing out from the back, getting the ball out wide. You've got players that can hurt you all over that field. Kulusevski with the goal. James Maddison making those good runs, interplaying there, getting Son involved. And Spurs were absolutely brilliant to watch in the first 15 minutes, which is hard to say because it's against our team. And then they lose their heads. Udogie should have been sent off. Romero should have been sent off. Lo and behold, they eventually do. And as soon as Tottenham went down to 10 men, you could just sense that the game was there for the taking in Chelsea's favour. And that is where Chelsea won this game. If you really look at the way that Spurs played, and even the substitutions to an extent from Postecoglou, was sabotaging himself. Because even though it's difficult to play with 10 men, difficult to play with 9 men, even more so, with the way that they're trying to play, the expansive, expressive style of football, they use up a lot of energy. So they needed to make substitutions. He kept bringing on defensive players, but then not playing a 9-men defensive strategy against a Chelsea team who cannot play against a low block. So even though Spurs were still very much low block, they were still playing with such a high line the balls for Jackson, it's the easiest hat-trick the man can ever score in a football match, because I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a team go down to 9 men and still keep doing what they've been trying to do all season, which is press incredibly high, suffocate their opponents, but you've got 2 men less. And as much as Chelsea weren't great, as much as Chelsea haven't been great, it doesn't matter who you play in the Premier League. If you continue to play that way, you're going to get unstuck if your players cannot keep their heads. And that's exactly how Chelsea have won this game. We have benefited from a couple of moments of madness from Spurs players. VAR, we spoke about it in the 6 things we learned, but I'll touch upon it again here. It's all a joke. You know, we can argue all we like about the wrong decision here, wrong decision there. Should this goal have stood? Should that goal have stood? The fact of the matter is, it's nowhere near good enough. If you're going to have this in the game, just make sure it's as close to perfect and living the game and playing the game by the rules as we can. Unfortunately, it's got nothing to do with that. And I think Postecoglou's interview after this match summarised things so well. We're just waiting around. We're just sitting here waiting around. That's what he said. We're all just waiting, watching screens. Those in the stadium don't really know what's going on. We got to see a better view of it on television. But all in all, the game was slow, even though it was super fast, for that very reason. So my final thoughts on VAR is that just either get rid of the flipping thing and bring us the old football back that we all know and love, or employ some people that are actually better at knowing the rules of the game and aren't panicking. We heard it firsthand. VAR were panicking in the Tottenham-Liverpool game, made the wrong decision, couldn't go back on it. And I've got a funny feeling it's the same every single game. They understand it's a high-pressure moment, but to make the right call, the human brain just doesn't really know what it's bloody doing, does it? So with that being said, get rid of the flipping thing. I'm over it. And I'm not over Chelsea beating Spurs. And if you're not either, hit the like button on this video. And we're going to go through now and talk a little bit player by player about the Chelsea performances. Because as much as we can sit here and absolutely be over the moon that we've got our biggest win of the season against our biggest rivals away from home, Poch versus Ange, Poch back at Spurs, we've got to be very honest about this whole thing here. Chelsea were not very good yesterday. And I've kind of posed the idea with the thumbnail, the title of this video, saying, is this basically a space where Chelsea can now kick on? Performance-wise, I'm not confident in that. What the result means, I'm hoping that Pochettino can really analyse this game and be like, look, we got away with that one. If Spurs would have just literally played maybe even 2 or 3 metres deeper than they did, we might not have actually won. And that is me being very honest. The balls are coming in, the finishing was poor, the runs were badly timed, and the final decision-making was absolutely awful for the majority of that second half. But we begin with Sanchez, who I've given a 6 out of 10. He didn't really have too much to do, made some big save towards the end from Son. I think it was like the 94th minute of the game. And as well as that, he can't do much about the Tottenham goal. That's all Levi Colwell's fault. And then for the rest of the game, a couple of bad kicks out, but didn't really have too much to do. Standard goalkeeping performance, did all that we needed him to do. He gets a 6. Reece James I've given a 6.5, but I do want to discuss a little bit how he lost his head a bit towards the end of that first half. The elbow could have easily been a red card. We saw something similar with Newcastle and Bruno. And I think that moment from Reece, you're Chelsea's captain. Everything is obviously teetering on the verge, if not already boiled over, during that first half. And if there's one player that you want in a Chelsea shirt where the game can clearly be there for the taking, you need your captain to keep his head. And all of a sudden, he's got flailing limbs and elbows flying towards Spurs players, and you've seen him given. And I think maybe if that would have happened, this game could have ended up a completely different scoreline. It could have been 4-1 on the flip side, considering how poorly we were playing for such a large portion of it. 6.5. Reece, again, he looks strong. He doesn't easily get bullied as much as, say, a decisive or Gusto does, because positionally he's always in the right spots. So it was a good performance from Reece, and then he kept his head in the start of the second half, and we won 4-1, just to keep reminding you. Disasi I've given a 6. Again, didn't really have to do too much in the game, I'd say. Chelsea were very slow across all of the build-up, but Disasi did what he needed to. I've given Silva a 7. I think, again, when you're looking at a match like this and you think about the confidence or the lack of confidence that Chelsea have had, with Reece also still being new to the captaincy, Thiago Silva, even though he's not the captain or even the vice-captain, you just know the influence that he has on this squad and the players around him. So people are naturally going to listen to him. And as a 39-year-old centre-back who's been in the game for near 20 years plus, you're going to listen. And he is going to have things to say. And you could see when Chelsea was struggling with that build-up, struggling to actually get the ball into good positions and simply beat Vicario at times, Thiago Silva still orchestrating everyone from the back. And I think he did his defensive duties well. Also, Levi Colwill I've given a 5 out of 10. He loses his head again. I think it was quite funny, really, that the TV didn't fully show Sarr pushing him in the neck because, well, who'd want us to see Chelsea struggling to get decisions in their favour again? But he loses his head once more, and it looks as though if he wasn't going to be held back from a Chelsea player, Levi Colwill would have also probably ended up getting sent off because it looked as though he wanted to go and flip and punch the bloke in the face. You got to calm down, mate. Not going to lie. I love Levi. I think he's had a really, really good start to the season. But turning your back for the Kulusevski goal as well, it's criminal. Positionally, yes, he's not a left-back. He's a centre-back. But still, he's been playing there enough and simple rules of defending. You don't do that when a player's about to shoot. It deflects, gives Sanchez no chance, and then he gets hoiked off at half-time, as I said in Six Things. And I think he'll be disappointed in himself, really, because his head was going. And again, in a game like this, I think Pochettino did a good job in taking Levi Colwill off because when it's boiling over like that, all it takes is one more foul and the referee's thinking, if I wasn't sure about sending the other bloke off, then let's make the numbers fair. The game is heated. The game's fiery. There's tackles coming in. People are starting to argue and fight on the field. So I think that was smart from Pochettino. We move into Enzo, who I want to talk about for a little while here because Enzo Fernandez is really worrying me right now. As a Chelsea fan who absolutely adores him, I know how brilliant he can be as a footballer. I've had a lot of qualms so far this season about his shooting. We have seen him take up slightly more advanced positions with the signing of Caicedo, which we'll get onto him in a minute, proving to be an absolute masterstroke. Enzo is so off the pace right now. Twice in that second half, he's intercepted in areas where Spurs, even with Chelsea having the man advantage or two-man advantage, Enzo's getting caught in possession. And I don't know if I can be as blunt as to say, well, maybe his head is somewhere else a little bit at the moment because he's got a new kid. Totally understand that. But he definitely seems to have lost some of that sharpness. Yes, he plays a lot of football. Yes, he's not missed much football apart from the game where we lost the other week where he just had a baby. Or his wife just had a baby. I just need a lot more from Enzo Fernandez, to be quite honest. And I think at the moment, he is the weak link in the Chelsea midfield. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Moises Caicedo, I've given a 7.5. History books will not remember that Caicedo scores an absolute beauty of a strike with his left foot. I had to watch it a few times to be like, well, how the bloody hell has he hit that? Puts it into the bottom corner. I think you can argue that, okay, Jackson, he's in the way, it goes through his legs, but I think Vicario's got enough time and enough space to see that. And it just would have been lovely, wouldn't it, to have Moises Caicedo score that goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I thought he was brilliant. I think he was the most progressive midfielder that we had. I think he occupied some really good positions. And when Chelsea was struggling to break through, struggling to break down what you can't really call, I don't know if you can call it a low Tottenham block because of how high the line was, but Caicedo just looks as though he's got that hard tackling, hard hitting, fitness, everything now is coming together for this bloke, and I'm absolutely delighted for him. Conor Gallagher, I've given a 6.5. In the Six Things We Learned, I was saying about how Caicedo was playing a lot more progressive passes, or seemed to be. When I look back on all the stats of the game, Gallagher again, I think he got himself an assist as well. I think Conor Gallagher is actually such a pivotal part of this Chelsea team, even though I think he, at times, was slowing the game down a bit too much. I would like to see a little bit more side to side, getting players one-on-one when Chelsea have got that two-man advantage, but he would put it back and then someone else would have to play that pass, which allowed Spurs players to kind of regroup and get into positions. I want to see Gallagher be a bit more confident. And I don't know what happened to the Gallagher that was scoring away at Palace last season, outside the box, or scoring a few great goals for Palace as well. I want to see him be a bit more confident. At the moment, he's kind of taken like a sacrificial role, I think, in this Chelsea team, where Caicedo's going to just kind of hold in front of the defence, win the ball back. Enzo's going to try and be that pass maker, but I think at the minute, because Enzo's off, Gallagher is maybe doing 1.5 people's worth of work right now, which I think is fair. Thoughts on that in the comments down below. Raheem Sterling, I've given a 4. Now, a lot of you in the comments of the 6 Things video have said you're being too harsh on Raheem Sterling. He didn't get the service. I'm talking about what Raheem Sterling was doing with the ball. And so many times we see this from him where we're in such great positions. We have got a numerical advantage which should see us absolutely slapping this lot by maybe double-figure goals. Yes, this is Chelsea. Yes, our finishing's not been great. Yes, we scored 4, George. Stop being so negative. Sterling has got the ability. But it's just as if sometimes his brain just goes vacant and he doesn't know what to do. And it's so frustrating to watch. It really, really is. And I think he comes off right at the end of the game. But my substitution would have been Mudryk for Sterling. Mudryk didn't do a lot either. We'll talk about him in a moment. But with Sterling, yes, okay, he didn't get the service. But like, he's the guy who should be providing the service. And he was making good runs. There were a few good balls in there with some minute offsides and moments too. But I'm not confident when I'm seeing him run at players. And I think overall, when you look through all of these Chelsea ratings today, and if we juxtapose Sterling to the 8 out of 10 that I've given to Cole Palmer, we just need more quality in the final third. It's as simple as that. When it comes to being clinical, making decisive passes, having the vision to see something premeditated in advance, Sterling doesn't seem to have this. Cole Palmer absolutely does. And I'll be honest with you, right? Cole Palmer came in and I'm thinking, well, I don't really know too much about this guy. No one could really say too much because he's not played very much Premier League football, hadn't scored a Premier League goal for City. Yeah, there was moments of brilliance, but like if he can't get into Pep's team, then how can he so quickly become the best player at Chelsea? I did not see this one coming. I really didn't, but I'll say it now. Cole Palmer is absolutely magnificent. He has got so much ability, scores the penalty, which is bloody lucky, by the way, but it's not an awful pen. Vicario is just a top-class, world-class goalkeeper right now, and he gets a hand to it, but it does creep in off the post to get Chelsea level. That doesn't go in, we don't win this game. Simple as that. Cole Palmer steps up, he takes the mantle, the pressure as well, in such a heated game, in such a heated, massive moment. The guy's just got everything. There was some also brilliant movement from him in the first half where he's in tight pockets. Tottenham are pressing incredibly high when Udogie was still on the pitch. And he dealt with that magnificently too. And I really think right now, he might even be the first name on the team sheet for me because I think he's Chelsea's most creative player. He can finish. He's getting into brilliant positions. He loves to integrate other players around him into the Chelsea build-up. And the build-up was where I was so frustrated today. But I just love watching Cole Palmer play. I think he's an absolute maestro. Moving into Nicholas Jackson, who I've given an 8. And this has been such a big debate for me because, yes, okay, he scores a hat-trick against our biggest rivals. His first Premier League hat-trick. He's up to 5 goals now for the season. But still, I need more from this guy. He could have had 5. He could have had a double hat-trick today. Vicario denies him with an incredible save in the first half, which was actually really good from him. And sometimes it's like, if he's dribbling and he's got control of the ball, he's probably going to beat his man and get a good shot away. If he doesn't get control of the ball, he literally looks like Bambi on ice. And every time I see him run with it sometimes, I'm like, I just kind of expect him to fall over. And I think the problem I have at the moment with Jackson is exactly what I thought was going to be the problem at the beginning of the season. A striker who's got the ability to score goals. A striker that's going to work really hard for the team, but is still so raw and fresh that it's nowhere near the finished article and product. So I've given him an 8, and normally if a striker scores a hat-trick, you give him a 10. And if you win the game, you give him a 10. I'm giving him an 8 because I just still think, despite all of that, if it wasn't for the fact that Postecoglou just committed football in... it's a sin, really. If you think about it, all Spurs had to do was dig deep, go low block, stick 8 men in the flipping box with your goalie. But they played such a high line. And in the end, Jackson timed enough runs to get a hat-trick, score enough goals, and Chelsea are absolutely laughing and running back to West London with all 3 points and 4 of the very best. So Jackson gets an 8. Marc Cucurella, 6.5. I think he came on, did a decent job. I think he looked a lot more composed than Levi Colwill did. And Mudryk, I've given a 4.5 because I don't know what it is about this guy. He's got all the ability in the world. Maybe it's just simply, well, I was doing all right and now I'm not starting in a big game. So he comes on and he's kind of tentative, scared. Maybe the occasion got to him. Maybe the atmosphere at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium got to him a little bit. But This guy's got blistering pace to burn for days. We've seen how skillful he can be, but he's just so tentative. And the final ball, bloody hell. I almost wish he mishit it again and it goes in the back of the net and then we wouldn't have to give him such a low rating. Also, the press. He needs to get involved a lot more when Chelsea are out of possession. But overall, Gusto I've just thrown in with a 6. Overall, I think Chelsea, we've got to be absolutely over the moon with this. But in order to think about how we move forward, if we play twice as good as we did here, we still get beat by Manchester City, even if they are playing at 75%. And that is where I think we're at right now. This victory is not as amazing as we move forward as we think it is. And that is the hardest part here for me because I'm absolutely flipping buzzing with this. Didn't sleep much last night before the game either. I felt really sick before it. Probably the nerves, to be honest, to go to Tottenham, who are unbeaten in 10. I didn't want them to make it 11 and put more misery on us. But all in all, there is serious problem here when it comes to the attacking identity of this club, the way that we're building up. I'm a bit concerned at how slow things seem to be changing. And I know it seems weird. I know a lot of people that are like maybe surface layer fans, potentially, or maybe this is unfair. And I'm not even going to cut this part out of the video because I want to dig myself out of this mini hole here. Not just surface level fans, but like there's a big conversation at the moment about over-analysing. I don't really think this is an over-analysis. I don't think I'm being harsh. I think I'm being realistic. We were lucky that we're playing against 9 men. Spurs lost their heads, they were dirty, and they didn't have a plan B. If it wasn't for that, I think against any other club in the league, right now, we would have been embarrassed at the end of this game. If Spurs didn't play such a high line, I think we'd have been embarrassed. I really do. That is what I saw. Let me know what you saw in the comments down below. It's a massive 3 points. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see Chelsea in 10th place in the table. It's only because it's today. It was last night, and today we must revel in a massive win against our biggest rivals. In my opinion, Spurs is the team I want to beat, and this fixture is the one I look for before any other every single season. I flipping hate Tottenham Hotspur. Delighted that we've beaten them. There's no unbeaten streak anymore. They've got flipping all of their centre-backs out now. Van der Ven looks like his hamstring literally fell off of his leg, which I think is a great defender, so I hope he recovers, personally. Not for Tottenham, though. Romero's an absolute twonk. Udogie, I mean, he's not Benjamin bloody Chilwell, is he? But, yeah, end of the day, mate, Pochettino, this could be a big moment. This could be a watershed moment in Chelsea's season. I just hope that when it comes to the analysis of this game, we have to try and find a way to be more clinical, to create more quality opportunities, because we're playing against 9 men who basically just gave the game to us. And it was only the last 7 or 8 minutes that we even looked like a team with any kind of confidence to go forward, any kind of confidence in front of goal. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. I'm absolutely buzzing. I've tried to be as realistic as I can here because I know that I do get carried away when Chelsea win, but I don't want to get carried away because we've got City on Sunday and then Newcastle away, which is arguably an even tougher fixture the week after. So let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments down below. If you're not yet following the Telegram, still not too late. We haven't quite hit 5,000 followers yet. I'm giving away £500 to one of you when we hit 5,000 followers on my Telegram group chat in partnership with Chelsea's trading partner Go Markets. And as well as that, I would also love it if you could check out the FM All for Nothing episode 1 that went up 4 hours before kickoff yesterday. And I'll catch you guys in a bit.